What's up, comic book fans? Anchor Pete here, and I'm with my good friend Brian, Mr. Coors Hair. He's just like the ninja guy in the back, judo master, lifting me up, as always, Brian. Welcome, sir.
How's it going, Pete?
Good, man. I'm feeling a little emotional. I actually, just before this, I watched the Avengers Assemble clip from Endgame.
Ah, okay.
I don't know why I did that. I think maybe I just wanted to be teary-eyed when we did a live show, but that's what I did.
I do talk about how often I cry during these many things I watch. So, why not?
Yes. Well, here's my question for you. We are reviewing Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 5, and Peacemaker, Episode 4. Did you cry during either of those two shows?
I did not.
Okay. I can understand why not. So just for people that are new to the channel, we are Comic Books Transformed. We like to talk about media, movies, TV shows that are based upon comics. And sometimes there's movies and things that get turned into comics. Everything's a freaking comic. Everything's a show. We're talking about Boba Fett. Let's go. So, Brian, you want to make the joke or should I?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. The joke that I've heard
said it before, so you do it now.
Okay. Heard this joke about 6 times today, but today we're here to fuck. I hope I didn't fuck up the joke. We're here to review a new episode of The Mandalorian, which just premiered on Disney Plus today. I think it was a pretty great episode of The Mandalorian. What did you think?
I was really surprised that it came back so early. We had no idea.
Yes. Came back right in Boba Fett's time slot, too. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, really strange. But honestly, this was the best episode of the show so far. I mean,
ooh.
Wow. Oh, is this another one of those the famous Brian and Pete disagreements?
No. I thought this was very good. It felt like the tone kind of shifted a lot. Like it kind of meandered a bit in the middle, but I did like everything that happened. It just in general, it's kind of jarring because it literally is just an episode of The Mandalorian.
Jarring?
Oh my god! Whoa, dude! Did you drink like a Red Bull or something before it came on?
I did not. I had a Gatorade.
Okay, you're just firing on all cylinders so far. So,
let me clarify a little bit here. So, I mean, maybe my best episode of this show is a little overextended, but what this episode reminded me of is how much I love The Mandalorian.
Yes.
How much I prefer The Mandalorian to this. How much The Mandalorian's theme song is better.
Ooh.
And just overall, like I've said in the past few episodes, I feel like The Mandalorian has eclipsed Boba. He has taken the place of Boba Fett of the past.
Yeah,
he is the imprinted Boba Fett that we all imprinted on in the past because he was the blank slate. That's what we all thought he was. That's what we all wanted him to be, and that's what he is. So this Boba Fett is kind of different. It's still cool and unique in its own way.
Yeah.
But this show just absolutely confirmed that fact for me, is that the Boba Fett that everyone loved from the 70s and the 80s that had 4 lines in the movie and like 6 minutes of screen time, that is the Mandalorian now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't disagree with that at all. You're 100% on the money. It's weird because, like, you're right. That, like, he's the quiet type. I just love hearing Pedro Pascal's voice. And just the way he performs, it's always a question of, is he the actual guy in the armor, on the set filming? But regardless, I just love hearing that character talk. I love how subdued he is. And it's crazy because there's so much world building and like mythology stuff for the Mandalorian in this episode of Boba Fett. It's like, I guess they're so intertwined that it's like they're assuming that people are watching both shows.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of an off-putting fact, actually. The fact that, like, if you were just watching The Mandalorian and you didn't want to watch the Book of Boba Fett, now you have to.
Yeah.
You literally have to watch this episode before whatever comes next. I mean, there's no way they can get around it, because otherwise he's like, oh, he's got this cool spear. Like, wait, where'd that cool spear go? Oh, wait, why does Grogu have Mandalorian armor now? Or Beskar armor? Have to watch this show because of that. And I mean, really, thankfully, in a way, you could just watch it and not watch the rest of the show and be totally fine, I guess.
Yes.
And yes, we just got a comment there, and I kind of agree with that statement.
I dated a Jawa, best line in Star Wars history. So
I,
do you
I got a
guys?
good laugh at it, and I have to say that is it Pelimoto? Is that her name?
Yeah, that's the Star Wars character, Pelimoto.
Okay,
Yeah,
I always just call her Amy Sedaris because she's Amy Sedaris.
right.
Um, but I am now endeared to the character. I now like the character. It's past the point for me. It doesn't feel super out of place anymore. Maybe a little bit still, but I like the character, and I was happy to see her, and I liked the interactions that she had in this episode.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Because the Mandalorian just has this whole supporting cast that we've grown to love over 2 seasons. She's one of them. Then you have the armorer, right? And
Oh, she's awesome. I
yeah,
thought they were all dead, so that was a great surprise too. Honestly,
yeah. I mean, there's so much to talk about in this episode. I kind of wanted to just run through a couple of um, Easter eggs because I just
yeah,
actually saw a TikTok right before I started filming this. This guy, his channel is called Codename Fulcrum, and he had a bunch of great Easter eggs that he noticed. That you probably tell me if you picked up on some of these, right?
there's one I'm really excited to talk about that I know it made Kristen, my wife, very, very, very happy.
All right. You tell me if it's on this list. Okay. So speaking of Pelimoto, there's that one scene where she's getting attacked by that creature and she's getting pulled off to the side. I didn't realize it, but that's like a Jurassic Park reference to like the very first movie.
Oh wow, okay. I didn't would have thought of that either.
Yeah, you know when the guy's getting attacked by the raptor and he's like this.
You know, that's an important point. I mean, because Bryce Dallas Howard directed this episode.
That's right.
And one of the episodes of The Mandalorian she directed, she famously, I mean, maybe not famously, but she just did shot-for-shot recreations of scenes from Apollo 13.
Yep.
So maybe, I mean, she's part of the Jurassic Park franchise, and maybe she did the same thing.
I think you're on the money. Yeah. And I think she did a fantastic job. And another great homage is with Pelimoto once again. She says that line, I know she doesn't look like much, when she's talking about Din Djarin's new ship. And that's just like Han Solo in A New Hope, right? We also see Beggar's Canyon, which I think that's like a shot straight out of Phantom Menace, too, when he's flying the ship.
Yep.
Right? There's a Womp Rat, and Luke said he could, target.
I'm pretty sure the creature attacking Pelimoto was a Womp Rat, too, so.
Yeah. Did you get the Superman 1978 reference in there?
No.
Yeah, I didn't either. That's why I'm real thankful for Codename Fulcrum. Basically, you know how Din Djarin is on that transport and there's a Rodian kid sitting in front of him?
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
So when he's flying the ship and he flies up next to her, that's supposed to be like Clark running along the side of the train.
Nice. Okay.
And then also at the very end, Din Djarin says, I got to pay a visit to a little friend. That's like Luke in Return of the Jedi saying, I got to keep a promise to an old friend, or I got to visit an old friend. He says that to R2. So there's always and there's even more Easter eggs than that too.
So the one I was talking about was not mentioned there, but those are all excellent. I mean, those are all like non-Star Wars Easter eggs too. That's really cool that they did all those things in there.
Right.
The thing that was that got my wife all excited was the little droid in that scene, actually. The BD droid, which was it's probably not the exact same unit, but it's the little droid in the Fallen Order game.
Yeah.
And that my wife played and beat that game. I'm still halfway through it somewhere. I stopped and picked it up again and completely forgot what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, I want to play that game. I have it on my PlayStation 4. And I know a lot of people are excited to see him, just like your wife, too. It's amazing because this episode just weaved all different aspects of Star Wars into one episode, right? You have just the Mandalorian show itself. Then you have like old school Star Wars with X-Wings and stuff like that. Then you have Fallen Order, which is a Star Wars game. You have Attack of the Clones. I mean, Phantom Menace stuff in it, right?
Yeah, I mean they have an N1, no. N1 Starfighter.
N1 Starfighter from
Amidala,
Yeah.
They're bringing everything together in this.
Yeah, and not only that, but like in the Clone Wars cartoon, there's a whole story arc or more where they go to like Mandalore and you see the whole Mandalorian culture. And we know that Mandalore gets like essentially wiped out by the Empire. And they showed that in this too.
Yeah.
And that in itself was like an Easter egg too, right? Because like that just looks straight up like Terminator with the Empire.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with all the K2 droids and the interrogator droids.
Yeah.
By, and the bombers. Yeah. No, this is a question that I can't quite solve in my head canon. I didn't really research it enough, and I probably should have. But
It's all good.
the timeline of what is the armorer called? The Night of a
Death
Thousand.
Star.
No, the Night of a Thousand Tears.
Oh, the night when they got like destroyed. Yeah, I think that's right.
When exactly was that? Because they make a point to point out that the Empire was only around for 30 years, which is kind of true.
Yeah.
So when did that happen? Like
it happens in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
Okay.
Because I mean, one of the ways you can tell is because they have those bombers and they're like straight up TIE bombers versus like the old Republic stuff,
True.
Right. But I know that like on the show, I know that like I listened to Star Wars Explained today, and he was talking about how this kind of rectified a couple of things that were like kind of like continuity errors. Because in the cartoon, the Clone Wars cartoon, the girl that Katie Sackhoff plays, right? What's her name?
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, right. She was like given the blade at one point, but it's
which
because
they also name dropped in this episode,
right.
and
they basically explained that like when she had the blade, that's when that Night of a Thousand Tears happened, and so she was kind of disgraced when she had the blade. So that kind of like rectifies that. And then I'm trying to think what else they. They also explained like why this particular branch of the Mandalorians like they survived while the rest of the Mandalorians got wiped out too.
Yeah, because they split off from Mandalore and kept the way and all that.
Yeah.
Really interesting little thing with that battle too. That challenge they had between what was his name?
He was at Vizsla. Let me see if I have his name written down here. Paz Vizsla.
Yeah. So yeah, because he mentions that his ancestors forged the Dark Blade. And what the hell was I saying about that?
Well, they had their little battle.
One
right?
episode challenged
them.
They battle. They challenge him. Nope.
Then there's the whole part where he's like, "Did you take off your helmet?"
Oh, the helmet thing. Yes.
Yeah.
I find that very interesting. That and I feel like they're implying that he's not going to take his helmet off anymore because I guess that he's going to go see Grogu and then he's going to go back to Mandalore at some point.
Yeah.
And to kind of redeem himself.
Yeah, I don't want to steal too much from these other channels that I watch, and I want to give them credit. But like on Star Wars Explained, for instance, the guy on there said that just like what you were saying before, that the Mandalorian is essentially doing what Boba Fett in the Expanded Universe books did, and so he goes to Mandalore and he essentially becomes like the new Mandalore, like the new leader of the people. And so that's what the Star Wars Explained guy thinks, is that like ultimately Din Djarin is going to be that,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, and I guess that paints a picture of a very different season 3 of The Mandalorian than I expected.
Yeah.
It seemed to me like he was going to go help Bo-Katan in some capacity, but maybe not. And it sounds like that either she's going to be in the Ahsoka show or possibly even getting her own.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Because one of the things I was wondering about too is, they show those X-Wings, and I know they keep trying to say that there was a Rangers of the New Republic show. And I think they keep trying to tie it into these X-Wing fighter guys that have been in like 2 episodes of The Mandalorian and this.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know what new shows they're going to be and like who's going to be on what shows, right? So you're saying that she might get her own show?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, there was supposed to be the Rangers in the Republic, and it was supposed to be a Gina Carano spinoff.
Right.
And which obviously is not happening, or most likely is not happening.
Right.
So maybe they're just looking to replace it and seeing where they can expand and, use the star power that they have, available to fill it out better.
Yeah. Did you like that scene with the X-Wings?
Yeah. I mean, it was a little, maybe it was a little unnecessary, I guess, but it gave some interesting technical, questions about how these things kind of work in Star Wars, I mean, because there's space cops, and it's a little weird seeing an X-Wing because it's like a cop thing.
Yeah.
I suppose it works. And I guess it was really just there to show you like how fast this ship is. That was the reason it was there. Because you kind of assume that X-Wings X-Wings like one of the coolest looking ships that Star Wars has, especially Although I'm personally a fan of the Empire ships.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
But in terms of Rebel ships, X-wing is like the coolest looking one by far.
Yeah.
And you assume that it's like the Mustang of starfighters, and this thing just blows it out of the water because you have to do that because it's a prequel ship, and a lot of people don't like the prequels, so you have to factually prove that it's better in some way.
Yeah, well, I mean, that kind of brings up a point I wasn't even going to talk about tonight, but there's like a whole generation of people that love the prequels. Like, to them, the prequels is like the best thing, and they love it more than the sequels and the original trilogy, too. And that always just blows my mind.
Well, I mean, you have to think about, man, this is something I always think about whenever I watch things that are adapted, is that generally speaking, whatever I see or read first, I tend to like more than anything else.
Right.
That comes after. So if you grew up watching the prequels first, I mean, of course you're going to like them more, like that's the first thing you saw. But for us, we saw the original trilogy first.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're going to identify with. There's going to be a generation that saw the second set of sequels, and they're going to think the same thing about that.
Yeah. Man, that's just
maybe that's our kids. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Pepper's not really that big a fan of those movies, especially not Rise of Skywalker. But like, yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
What did Brandon think of those? I don't remember what Brandon thought of them. He did see them, but I mean, he loves this show.
Yeah.
I can always tell when he's really interested when he asks a lot of questions.
Oh, okay. And so he liked this episode too?
He loved this episode. I mean, he loves the Boba Fett show. Like this. Let me put it this way. So they put Boba Fett in Fortnite, like the new Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And this is before the season started. So there was a Boba Fett and a Stormtrooper. He's like, I want the Stormtrooper. I don't want Boba Fett. Now that he can't get it, he wants it.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's cool to think like how just Star Wars just affects generations at this point. Like I guess essentially like 3 generations, like our parents, us, and our kids now, and everyone in between. And there's just all different preferences. And that was the beauty of this episode, is that it kind of had a little bit of everything in it. And just to kind of go back to that X-Wing point, I liked it because you were right. It's like they're space cops, and it just sort of like, as a metaphor, worked for cops. Like, it's like, okay, well, you got a new car. Where's your registration? Right? And it's like, we got to verify if that's your car or not. And I like that comparison. It was weird for me, though, for them to be flying around Tatooine, because I always kind of pictured Tatooine as sort of this, like, this place is removed from the Republic, and it's like where there's crime, and like I don't really see the Republic being there,
Yeah, because it's in the Outer Rim. You just hear Outer Rim, and you think it's like off the beaten path. And just like I don't have a concept of how big the universe is in Star Wars, because it seems like there's so many planets and so many systems, and you only hear about a select few in the mainstream. So you really don't know how far apart they are, and what's being patrolled and what territories belong to who. So it is kind of weird that they just happen to show up everywhere. Being that we've gone to what, maybe 10 different places in these shows. Overall, and you keep seeing these guys popping up everywhere. So
yeah. But I'm just trying to think what else like stood out. I also really liked that like base that Din Djarin went to get his bounty, that station.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It's like the ring from Halo.
Yeah. But like, to me, it just blows my mind how good the special effects are, and like the kind of stuff I've said this before. This is the kind of stuff that we imagined when we were kids. Like, oh man, could you imagine when special effects are so good? They'll have a Star Wars where there's like a bounty hunter guy walking around at a base, and you could just picture it in your head. And now it's just like they make it even better on the screen. It's like, oh shit, that's even cooler than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it just to think that going back to the original Star Wars, where a lot of the space scenes were filmed with like little miniatures, like glorified like toys, models and all that, and now we have like this, and it's all done on a green screen. Like it's incredible what they can do these days.
Yes. So unless you have more things to say about this episode, I kind of wanted to talk about like speculation for the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, let's go. I don't think I have anything else.
So we kind of talked about this last time, but I was saying that, you know, Boba was probably going to recruit someone in this episode or multiple people in this episode. And then the next episode was going to be like them kind of posturing or trying to go after the Pike Syndicate. And then all of a sudden you get like another person that's on the Pike Syndicate side. And I was thinking that it was going to be like Cad Bane on one of the sides and maybe some of the other bounty hunters like Dengar and Bosk, those guys. So what I think is going to happen is you're just going to have Din Djarin and Boba Fett and Fennec Shand and then those biker people. And then you're going to get like Cad Bane or somebody as like the very last shot of the next episode. Like, what do you think?
Yes, because one of the they still don't have a big enough face for the Pikes,
right?
To be a threatening villain. So there has to be someone that's going to show up that's going to be like, oh shit, this is actually a threat.
Yeah.
Because seeing I mean, especially in Star Wars, seeing a bunch of faceless troops is not all that menacing.
Yeah.
So someone has to show up that's known or is extra imposing. You know what I mean? Because although the numbers are small, seeing Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, Din Djarin, and Black Chrysanthemum, and you know their guards, the freaking Rancor.
Yeah, yeah.
They have to have something worthy to fight. You know, a hero is only as good as his villains. So.
Yeah. I really do think we're gonna get somebody really like cool in the other episode. And we got Jonathan Navarre. This is the first time he's ever commented on one of my shows. Jonathan, good to have you, man. I interviewed him on my Anchor Pete channel. Guys, if you don't know Jonathan Navarre, he himself has written a bunch of sci-fi epics. I think I actually have one of them right behind me. I'm going to make my point and look for your book, Jonathan. But here we go. I'm plugging this guy's book on my show right here. There you go.
Nice.
But I was going to say, will be someone worthy. Yes, that's right. What I was going to say is that
it's going to be Thor.
Oh man, that'd be awesome. Yeah, it'll be someone where that's going to be like the thing that's in all the thumbnails and stuff next week is like whoever that other villain's going to be, this face that you're talking about. And so one of the things I wanted to bring up, here's one more comment from Jonathan too. I wish I knew you were doing this. I got to go back and watch you talking about episode 4. Dude, go all the way back to episode 1. Watch every video.
Well, don't watch one. We didn't speak very highly of episode 1, so don't go watch that one.
Okay, yes. And it kind of helps if you like Peacemaker too, because we're going to talk about that in a little bit too.
Yes.
But anyway, I wanted to make this point because I didn't see anyone make this point yet. But with the sequel trilogy, there's the character of what's his face? He's got red hair and he's like a general. Hux, right?
General Hux, yeah.
Okay, he has that great speech that he does. I really love that scene where he does that speech and they blast those planets with Starkiller Base, right? Yeah. And he talks about the Republic being like corrupt. And I think we just kind of brush it off because it's just like, oh, that's what the Empire would say. And Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens also kind of refers to Han Solo as his friends are like, I think he calls them like thieves and murderers. And I really like the idea of like the Empire or the First Order looking at like the Republic and seeing it as like a corrupt institution. And that's why the Empire is good, or that's why the First Order is good. Now, I'm sorry I'm taking a long time to explain this, but Star Wars explained, he made this one point about how it's weird that the Republic is there with their X-Wings, and yet there's the Pike Syndicate, like essentially taking over Tatooine. And so I like the idea of during this New Republic time, it's seeming like the Republic is going to start up and they're going to be like this positive force, but maybe it's kind of like corrupted on the inside or it's inefficient. And so crime runs rampant. And that's how you can have something like the First Order grow, you know? Like I like stuff like that. And maybe they'll allude to it in these shows down the road. But I like stuff like that where it goes a little deeper.
Yeah, no, I think also, you know, when villains have conviction, when they believe their ideals, they're always better villains. You know, I mean, like we always, you know, we're big X-Men fans. I mean, I think Magneto is a great example of that. You know, But yeah, that's an excellent point. Is that the First Empire grows out of the inefficiency of the New Republic.
Right.
Clearly, like if those X-wing pilots are cops and they're pulling over a guy who flies too close to a starship, but they're not stopping drug smuggling, this massive crime syndicate, not doing anything about it. That's a really excellent point.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta give Star Wars Explained credit for that. And then also in the videos, no one made a reference to how I think the ship that they're using, like the Pike Syndicate was in one of these ships, and then Din Djarin was in one of these ships this episode. But isn't that like the ship that they're going to be using for like the tours that people are going to go on? You know those tours that you pay like.
Was it? Oh, it's not a Carillion Corvette.
It's
you know
it's
what?
not
It does
like
kind of look like that.
Yeah,
It does look like the ship for the new like Galaxy's Edge, crazy expensive starship thing. It does look like that. Yes.
right. That's what I was thinking. It's just like this cruiser. Yeah, yeah. So little Star Wars promotion there. But no, I mean, I just really liked it a lot, and I like the world building in general. I like all the stuff with the Mandalorian culture. I really want to see, you know, Mando and Boba Fett working together next episode, and if they can bring in Cad Bane or like some other famous bounty hunter, I'm gonna eat that shit up.
Yeah. I guess I'm still putting my money on Crimson Dawn and Kira, whatever her name is.
Oh, that would blow
money on
everyone's friggin' mind if that happened.
Like that's a worthy. I mean, although I guess nobody really likes Solo except me.
No, dude, I know this one guy on Twitter that like every 3 days he's always like Solo 2, make a Solo 2.
I would watch a Solo too, absolutely.
Yeah,
yeah. I think like it's a big name. It's a face that people would recognize, even if it's not necessarily for the character she played in that series. But I think that could work here. I mean, we know she's gonna make a Marvel show. She's in the Disney payroll.
Yeah. I think you're right, man. And I know that like Marvel, for instance, too, they just announced that Secret Invasion show is not coming out this year. I think it's coming out like next. It's been moved.
Yeah, that and Armor Wars both got bumped.
To
the next year or possibly even 24. I'm not even sure.
I read that too. Yeah. Oh, and then one other thing, and this is totally side little tangent, but did you see that they actually got like the rights to do solo Hulk movies too?
Oh, they did.
Yes.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
They didn't like get the rights completely from Universal, but like Universal worked out some kind of deal with them where they can make.
So probably the same thing as like the Spider-Man. They can make the movie and they split the profits, all that.
Yeah.
Interesting. But the thing is, like, I feel like they've. Oh, wait a minute. I was just gonna say that they kind of mined all of like the more prominent Hulk stories in recent memory, but then I forgot about Immortal Hulk.
Yeah,
that might be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah,
especially now that we're pretty much getting the God Butcher arc from Thor.
Yep.
Like that kind of shows me that they're willing to do recent things that are that are really good. So that would be fantastic.
I know. In the right hand, especially if it was like a horror director. Oh my god.
So I mean, good. When we heard about the Hawkeye show, we kind of both said like, I don't know if Jeremy Renner can pull off that comic Hawkeye. And I kind of have that same reservation about Mark Ruffalo pulling off that Banner and Hulk. But I will give them the benefit of the doubt, and at this because they've proven me wrong just about at every turn. So
yeah. Not to talk about like Hulk too much, but like Mark Ruffalo has a range. I know that like we're kind of used to him being kind of like a little goofy and stuff, but did you ever see that movie Collateral, for instance?
I have not.
Okay. So he's almost unrecognizable in Collateral because he plays like an undercover cop, and he's kind of menacing in that, even though he's a good guy. I highly recommend Collateral too. But yeah. And the thing is, with the Immortal Hulk, a lot of that's CGI too. So like, I don't know. I think they can make it work. I think, and they also talked about having like the Red Hulk and stuff show up too. Like, oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. We're long overdue for Red Hulk.
Yeah. So, but going back to this, just like a couple more thoughts on this real quick for the Book of Boba Fett. Shit, I forgot what I was going to say now. I'm thinking about the Hulk now. Yeah, I think that might be it. Oh, okay. Now I remember. Star Wars really does need to play up the whole crime aspect. Everything that's like not Jedi, not Sith stuff. Like, give us more of this, more of this. And I think that it's a real shame that we're not getting that Rogue One or Rogue Squadron movie anymore. You know about that, right?
Yes, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
That sucks. I was looking forward to that. And I think one of the things too that I would like to see more of, or I mean, maybe less of it in a certain sense. Maybe a little too much Tatooine, a little too much desert planet,
Yeah.
kind of thing. I want to see something in like that ring city. You know, I want to see locations like that more often.
Yep. Yeah. Give us a totally new planet, something totally different. I totally agree. Yeah. See how many times I can say totally in a minute. But anyway, that was our little Book of Boba Fett / Mandalorian discussion. And now let's move on to Peacemaker episode 4, entitled, I'm about to say this on camera, The Choad Less Travelled.
All right, first a little aside here. Have you heard of Wordle?
Yeah, I absolutely have, yes.
Have you heard of Loodle?
No, I don't know about Loodle. What the fuck is Loodle?
So Loodle is Wordle, but with like, bad words.
Oh, okay. I gotta try that out.
The word today was chode.
Oh, perfect.
A different spelling, and Peacemaker failed me. So they spelled it Chode, and Peacemaker spelled it Choad. So I guessed that, and it was wrong, and it just totally threw me off, and I'm very disappointed.
Wow, I didn't even know that you do Loodle. Do you do Wordle too?
This is the first time Kristen told me about Loodle today. I didn't know about it before, but I've been doing Wordle for like a week or so. I just sent it to Kristen because I know people don't give a shit about seeing your dumb little word game results. So I just sent it back and forth to Kristen because that's whatever. I'll annoy her with my dumb shit.
Yeah, no, dude, Wordle is popular, man. It's like trending on Twitter. Besides, fucking Mandalorian and all this other shit. That's a big thing. They always have people's little pictures like that.
Yep.
Wordle. Yeah. But anyway, man, we're going on a lot of tangents tonight. So, episode 4 was directed by someone other than James Gunn, and so I was going to ask you, Brian, did you notice a significant difference between this episode and the previous 3?
I did not.
You did not. I did think that there was less of that sort of ad-libbed kind of feeling where they're just like kind of ripping jokes off each other. I felt like there was less of that.
Well, there's the beginning. Wait a minute. Which does this episode have the conversation with Peacemaker and
Vigilante
and Myrn, and kind of like on their own? That was a little ad-libby. Or was that the last episode?
I don't think there's one with Myrn and Peacemaker, but one of the ad-libbing kind of scenes that stands out in this episode, though, is when he's talking to Vigilante. He's in his dad's his room, and then they're talking about like a duck in a human costume.
Duck in a human costume, yeah, and that was also the little end credit. No, not end credit. After credit, little outtake.
Right. So I just felt like it was different.
I suppose that's true.
Yeah,
it felt a little less ad-libby, but it still had the same amount of kind of comedy and darkness and on the inside.
I agree.
The scene
also, go ahead.
The scene at the end where Peacemaker is just back in his trailer and he's just listening to music and he's like remembering the thing growing up and his brother and all that. Man, that hit hard.
Yeah.
But there's also a funny fight with Peacemaker in a parking lot with the judo master too. It's like, like they're calling each other like names and stuff, like name calling and all that crap.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The scene where he's dancing and he's thinking about his brother. That's where it really felt like James Gunn once again. I know we've talked about this a bunch, where it's like he really does capture specific songs, and he has these little sequences that are almost like little mini music videos in his movies and in the show too. And that definitely felt like James Gunn there, even though it was directed by Jody Hill. And just to give you a background, I thought Jody was a woman, but that's actually a guy. And he's directed, did you ever see the movie Observe and Report with Seth Rogen? Where he's like a mall cop?
I think so.
It's like a dark version of Paul Blart Mall Cop, right?
Yeah.
So he did that movie, and then he also has done shows. I'm guessing you've seen some of these. Eastbound and Down, Vice Principals, and The Righteous Gemstones.
I know of all those things. I know
Yeah.
that they all have one actor in common, Danny
Right.
McBride, but I've not seen any of them actually.
Yeah, I'm assuming that he must have some kind of connection to Danny McBride, right? Because he's in like all these shows.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, he might not be in Righteous Gemstones.
He is. He is.
He is. Okay.
Yeah. But like all of these, especially Observe and Report, even though they're like comedies, they're still pretty dark. And I thought that this episode of Peacemaker was pretty dark.
Yes.
Because you had that one sequence with the brother at the end that you just mentioned, but then there's also the sequence with Peacemaker as a little boy with his dad, and his dad's making him kill a guy.
Well, yeah, that was in the same montage, though, I think. So I was kind of
Right.
wrapping all out together.
Yeah.
And then also, I mean, this was a more of a comedic moment, but still kind of dark at the same time. Vigilante in the cell, not in the cell, in the prison with the white supremacist guys.
Yeah.
Man, that was a great scene.
That was beautiful. That was probably my favorite part of the whole episode. It's just like so great to see someone just bring it right to a bunch of racist assholes. Just tell it to them straight and not kind of back down. And they're just like dumbfounded. And you think he's saying this to these scary guys that are all ripped and they're in prison and they're just going to beat the crap out of him. But he has this experience as a vigilante. And so he's able to hold his own. It's just a really great scene.
Yeah, I felt it was a fantastic contrast for this character. And then the scene where he's getting himself in jail, where he's like, he can't even lift the garbage can and he's just trying to get himself arrested. But then, he just completely destroys these three huge guys in like seconds. Yeah. And then he's like, he instantly knows when the officers come in, the guards come in just to get on his knees and, put his hands behind his back. Like he is absolutely brilliant at murder, but not so great at everything else.
Right. It reminds me of Kick-Ass,
I was gonna say that too, but I feel like Kick-Ass was more nebbish, I guess.
Yeah.
Then in a way, and he's Vigilante at least has some confidence.
Oh, well, so when I say it reminds me of Kick-Ass, I don't necessarily mean the character Kick-Ass. I was actually thinking of like Big Daddy and Hit Girl.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough, yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the colors making me assume things.
His voice and stuff and the way that he moves around is kind of similar to Kick-Ass too.
Yes, I would say that, yeah.
Yeah. But
the personalities feel different to me, but
Right.
Did you hear that I mean, I didn't even know this because I know I've seen Freddie Strowman and things before, but I didn't realize it. But he apparently went through the entire filming of the show, and John Cena had no idea he was actually British.
Oh, really? That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, he does a great job. It doesn't seem like, sometimes their accents aren't that great, but I think he really nails it.
Yeah, totally fooled me. I would have thought the same thing. Like his accent is on point.
Yeah. So he kind of stood out that episode. We get a little bit more of the White Dragon and just kind of like his, Robert Patrick and the way that he is with Peacemaker. Obviously, there's something sinister. Do you think that the person that punches Peacemaker's brother, which leads him to have a seizure and die, do you think that that's Peacemaker? Like, do you think he's the one that punched him?
It's possible. They didn't show it, so it's very possible. It seems like his dad would be the kind of person to pit them against each other.
Yeah.
To toughen them up. So I believe that it could be possible. I don't. I'm not saying that's a guarantee.
Yeah. Really dark stuff, and I mean, we're like halfway through the show so far?
Yeah, 4 episodes. We get episode 5 tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's 3 more after that. Yeah, so we're literally halfway through. Yeah.
Yeah, so going along with like the kind of the overarching story with the butterflies and stuff, we find out at the end of this episode that Myrn is a butterfly.
Yes, I called that last week.
Yeah. But the question is, do you think that he's a butterfly that's working with the humans in like a noble way, or is it like a Skrull and he's infiltrated them?
Well, I think there's more to the line from Judo Master that the butterflies aren't what we think.
Okay.
So I think when at the end of the second episode where they saw that map with all the dots of all the butterflies, suspected butterflies in the world,
Yeah.
I had this like, oh, good, they can do this for like 3-4 seasons because there's a billion of these things.
Right.
I feel like that we're gonna get twisted around, and it's gonna be like, oh no, they're not bad, they're just misunderstood or something like that. And maybe the ones they're going after are some kind of like, bad offshoot of them or something like that. Like, I guess sort of like the Skrulls, like you mentioned, yeah. And
or
the MCU Skrulls.
If we're going with DC, it could be like there's the white Martians that are bad, and then there's green Martians that are good. That kind of thing.
Something like that. Yeah. So I think we're gonna get kind of switched around here.
Yeah.
At some point.
I think that like with this show, and just with if you take the first Suicide Squad movie and the Suicide Squad, even though sometimes they say that they're not really connected at all, I think that it would be kind of more satisfying to make it that like Amanda Waller and the government and stuff are the bad force, and like Peacemaker and his current crew kind of have to rebel against them by the end of this show. I think that would be more satisfying than like an alien invasion.
Yeah, I think also that would force Adebayo to kind of turn on her mother,
right?
Which would be interesting because I mean we saw some development with her there with shooting Judo Master. Like she mentions that she's never actually shot at anyone before, and she kind of goes through the gamut there, shooting him to save Peacemaker, then getting yelled at for doing so. And then sitting there watching and see if he's actually going to die or not. Because I mean that's got to be a traumatic thing to go through. Someone who doesn't want to be doing this and had to do it and then gets reprimanded for doing it.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I think it's a great show in general. And it has those kind of moments like what you're saying, where it's not just done for laughs that she shoots someone and then kind of has that response. Like she had a genuine response to shooting the guy and showing remorse. But then, of course, Peacemaker's like yelling at her, like you said. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that really stood out. And, it's funny because we have like this kind of serious conversation about it, but it is a real funny show, even in this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I wanted to mention too was obviously in the very beginning of the episode, Peacemaker says that he shoots the butterfly after it flies out of that senator's head.
Yeah.
But he obviously he captures it and takes it home there, and he must have even got a jar that ooze to feed it too, I guess, because you see that in his bag. Yeah. I think that's another reason why I think that this whole butterfly thing is going to turn around, and we're going to see something different than what we were expecting, or we're led to believe.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I'm trying to think if like there's anything that they've shown in the preview that we haven't seen yet. Like if there's any kind of surprise faces that are coming. They pretty much have shown all the kind of costume people. I think with like Judo Master and Vigilante. I wonder what other kind of big, because if we still have 4 episodes left to go, do you think that like Robert Patrick is going to come out of the prison and like put on that costume? Do you think that's going to happen?
I mean, maybe. Yeah. I mean, they showed it, and I guess if they're showing it, they gotta do something with it.
Right.
And that was super comic accurate too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that has to tie in somehow here. Like we can't just have him in prison, and I feel like just having that as a foil to potentially stall their mission by getting Chris thrown in jail. I feel like that's not enough to have that whole storyline. There's got to be more to it, but I don't know how that can tie in with the butterfly thing, because I kind of like blinders on there with that whole thing. Like we don't know what the butterflies are still.
Yeah. I think that it'll be kind of like a thing where it's like there's the 2 story arcs, and maybe they both get resolved by the end, and they don't necessarily overlap, but like it's just there's problems for Peacemaker on both fronts, but they're both resolved by the end.
Maybe that's certainly possible.
Yeah, but like by the end, he like defies his dad. He goes against his dad, and then he probably will go against like Amanda Waller and like the government too.
Yeah, it's possible, but then again, they still have that bomb in his neck.
Oh, they didn't like deactivate that shit?
No, that's how they said they're tracking him, unless they're always lying.
Okay,
to make him think that.
Shit. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Do you think it's possible that Peacemaker could die by the last episode?
No,
because
I need more of it. Like, there's no way. There's no like. I saw some articles saying that this is like the highest in demand original show on any streaming service, like in recently.
Really?
Yeah, it's like tracking like. They made some BS statistic where it's like, oh, it's 66 more likely than to be wanted to watch than other shows or some crap. So I think it's doing well. I think HBO really needs to grow their service.
Yeah.
I think if they see something so successful, they're going to want to continue it.
Right.
So I would be shocked if there's not a season 2 of this.
Okay.
I think it'll be a while before there will be, because James Gunn obviously has some commitments on the other side of the fence.
Right.
But
right.
I think it's all but a guarantee there's going to be a season 2.
Okay. Well, I'm on board. I'm definitely down for covering it with you. I'm excited because we still have 4 more episodes of this. We got 2 more episodes of Boba Fett, and then there's a little bit of a gap before Moon Knight. But I like talking about this with you. My problem is that like I watched Peacemaker like right when it comes out, and then it's like, oh, I gotta remember it by the time we do this show.
I watched Boba Fett twice today. So I watched Boba Fett in the morning, and then I watched it again with Kristen and Brandon. Before this, and then I came down to my office downstairs, and I put Peacemaker on again.
Oh, nice.
So I watched both episodes twice.
Okay.
And I'll probably do the same thing for Peacemaker again. I'll probably watch it right in the morning tomorrow, and then I'll watch it next Wednesday night.
Okay. I might end up doing that. My problem is that like I watch stuff for like other videos and stuff too. Like right now I'm watching Dragon Ball Hero, because I'm just liking that, and I also wanted to talk to somebody about it. And then Sherry and I are watching a show called Archive 81, which Danny was talking about.
Oh, I started that.
Yeah.
That's really good too. Totally got me hooked. We only watched the first episode, and I started the next one because I wasn't sure how anthology this was.
Right.
But yeah, I'm totally hooked on it.
Yeah. Sherry and I are actually going to go watch that after we're done recording tonight.
Nice. If Kristen's up, maybe we'll do the same. Although sometimes I can't watch the stuff at night.
Oh, no, dude, I understand. I had the creeps after seeing the fucking thing in the camera for a minute, but that's spoilers.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's just like not at night, but like right before bed. Like it's
of course. Yeah, you turn the lights off and you think you might see something in your bedroom corner. No, fuck that. All right, well, as always, I had a fun time talking to you, man, and I hope that you guys at home enjoyed. Please always tell us what you think about these shows, what you thought about Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett and Peacemaker. And Brian and I will be here next Wednesday night at 9:15.